whiting fishing, they're generally thinking, sorry I'm just dropping the anchor, they're generally thinking about fishing estuaries and bays and those sorts of situations. However, King George whiting also live in the ocean. Obviously they migrate, they do their thing. And in the ocean it's where you can catch some genuinely huge fish. That's exactly what we're doing today. We might not catch huge whiting, but we're targeting whiting in the ocean. It's a lot of fun. They're usually bright silver, big yellow spots. They pull hard. And as I said, you can find some genuinely huge fish. So we've got squid, we've got pippies, we've got burley. And for now we're anchored up literally between a little offshore island and a headland. And we've got the tide racing through here. We might make a few moves till we find the fish, but this is the basis of the plan. Open water, hopefully big whiting. The boys are already getting into it.
Yep, come on.
Lift him in. That's it. And that's what I was saying. This isn't a big one for here, but when you find them in the ports, you'll see they're often darker in colour and they get brown spots. These ocean whiting, you'll see they have those really yellow spots. This is a little one for this part of the world, but whitings are whiting, they all taste good. And you'll see here, Kev's using a reasonably big hook. That there, little Black Magic KS10. And I do like that bigger hook for big whiting. They've got a decent sized mouth. Like, check that out. It's not an overly big fish, but they have no problem sucking in a big long strip of squid or a pippy or a mussel, whatever you may use. The other good bait here is a pilchard fillet or a pilchard tail. Big whiting, love a fish bait. Anyway, we're on the board. That one's going in the slurry. We're only fishing one rod each. And you'll notice what the boys are doing is they get a bite and you let the fish sort of have it, because you've got a fair bit of tide. So then also, if you're not getting a bite, it pays to just lift that bait, like give it a lift off the bottom, let that sinker go clunk back into the bottom. Whether it's the noise or the sand going puff or just the bait moving, quite often you lift it, hits the bottom, bang, the fish commits. So by fishing this way, you do tend to catch more fish. Sure, you can put multiple rods out, but even if I've got multiple, I'll just pick one up, put it down, lift the next one up, put it down. Have your bait staggered as well, because the fish will sit just in certain bits. They might be in close, they might be out the back. And if you really mix it up, you'll suss out where they are. That's the one. That's the one. Oh, God. So you'll notice then that Tim swung that fish in, he didn't muck around with it, and that's a big tip with these guys. It's amazing how often they fall off, and the amount of big whiting I've caught over the years where you swing them in the boat and as they're coming in they fall off. But that's the sort of size fish you come down here to catch. That's a proper whiting. He's fat, he's very slippery, and he's going to be very good at hitting it. He's going in the box.
We'll get there eventually.
Okay, so the two boys have got what we call an extended Paternoster rig. So basically their sinker is here where my hook is and their bait hangs out in the current like that. I'm going to go the opposite way. I've got a standard Paternoster, so the sinker's down the bottom. I've got that short dropper hanging off there. This is made out of pretty heavy leader too. This is 20 pound. I want it to be heavy because there's some rough bottom here. If you get a big fish on or you get wrasse chewing your baits in a bit of your line, you don't want to lose the fish. So heavy leader, the fish don't mind it in this current, and that bait sit out like that. So this sits on the bottom of the sinker and the bait sits like that. And the whiting love to swim anywhere from the bottom to probably a metre off, so that puts that bait right in their zone. When it comes to the actual bait, I love squid for whiting. Quite simply, I just love a strip of squid like that. If it's fatter at one end, skinny at the other, I like to pin the hook just once through like that. That sits out in the current nicely. Not only that, it sits well and it doesn't spin. The biggest thing is that it's easy for the fish to eat it because they can come in and suck it in just like a piece of spaghetti. From there, I'm just going to drop this guy right over the back. On the bottom. You see then when I got that fish, I got the bite and just let it sort of have it, and then I actually just wound into it and the tip just loaded into that fish because they're not smashing the bait. So by just, I suppose, winding, you just move the bait, and if he's on, and if he's not, you can just stop without actually, you know, doing that and pulling the bait away from that fish. Alright, so while the boys are there catching a few whiting, I'll show you how to make an extended Paternoster rig. It is so easy. You just need yourself some leader. This is some 12-pound Black Magic fluorocarbon. I'll show you what you can do. Just pull off about that much, about 1.5 meters. Okay, and then leave that attached if you want. I'm going to show you how to make a dropper loop. What I like to do, give it a nice stretch so it's nice and straight. Then we're going to make one loop like so, and that's going to be our short end to our swivel. Then you're going to hold that end and one side of your loop, right? And then you've got to sort of twist this loop that you've got here around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, all right? And so you've got this loop here and you've got that loop there at the bottom. Then what you're going to do is reach through and pull that big main loop back up, like so. And you've made yourself a triangle. Then slide that up to that point there. We haven't pulled it tight just yet. Give it a little bit of wet. And then when you're ready, one smooth pull. Don't pull a bit and stop because it won't pull up neatly. Just go like that. And there you have your dropper loop. So from there, you can put a sinker onto that, have your bit of leader, which comes down to, I like to run a red bead and my hook, or you may not want a bead, whatever. But the other thing you can do is leave that like that. If you wanted to make a Paternoster rig, trim one end of that loop there. All right, then you'd have that going to the rod, that going to your hook, and then down there to your sinker. So that simple dropper loop enables you to make 2 different rigs. Really handy, really strong, and a knot that everybody should know. It doesn't matter if you're surf fishing or fishing in the boat or whatever, it's a really handy knot for a bunch of rigs. So that made a bit of a move because we were getting whiting in the other area, but they just weren't decent size. So it's a case of just keep moving because we're trying to find bigger fish. Sat here for a while. Got that one. Tim's got one. Oh, that's a good one, Tim. That's a proper one.
Nice and clean, aren't they?
There's the big clean ocean whiting, and they're slippery. They're slippery. Look at that. Nice fish. Really nice fish. Put him in there. And Tim's gone to put a mustard bait holder hook. We went to a smaller hook because we're getting really timber bites. And that's working for him. Right, boys, I'll clean up the mess and put the fish in the ice bag because I'm not doing much else. It's all of a sudden got real serious, hasn't it? We're talking about moving and doing something else.
Might get 5 more now, hey?
Yeah, that's
It is.
It is. Oh, it's great. Look at that. Nice. We haven't got a lot of tide here, and the bites are fairly timid. So smaller baits, a bit of patience, let the fish eat that bait, and that is the end result. Beautiful big whiting. And look at this, I'll show you something. People would say that's a big whiting hook, but if I pull his mouth open, look how big it opens up. So they have no problem at all getting that hook in their mouth. The outputs the two boys are using is just the Shimano Nasky spin reel 2500 on the Makuro 2 7'6" whiting rod. It's got a soft tip, it's not a nibble tip, but it's perfect for this whiting fishing, but in your estuaries, your brim and your yellowfin whiting for trout fishing, you can do anything with them. I've got one of the Shimano dual Baku rods. Now this is a rod for jigging, for those heavy jig head with the rubber skirt. That's what it's made for. It's super soft tip, but it's got heaps of poke in the butt. And it's also ideal for doing this because of that soft tip. You can feel the bite, but best of all, if we were in deep water or big tide, this rod handles big sinkers, no problem at all. And the other thing I love about an overhead is it's just so direct. I can really just do this, but also if I want to drop that bait back in the tide, I can just drop that back, let that sinker hit the bottom again. Look at in here. It's just so instant. The other trick with your whiting, if you get a bite or you get a fish, get your bait back in exactly the same spot. They'll often just sit in a little tiny pocket. You can cast a couple of metres past the fish, or a bit to the right or a bit to the left. And anyone who knows King George whiting will know that you can have one guy on one side of the boat just catching them flat out and the other guy getting nothing. So I got that fish, would have been about 10 metres back, that last one. So I put that bait right in the same spot. Tim's getting his bite straight under the boat, so I'll let him fish that area. I'll keep out here, see what happens. Better one? Oh, that just got him. That's a proper one. You notice how it's all happening now, and early on I said that it's all about getting the fish going, and it's exactly what we've done here. We've got no burley, but the more fish we catch, the more it's firing up with the rest of the school. Because these guys are putting out vibrations and they're spitting up food they've been eating, and it's just making the other fish get hungry and want to feed. So it's all about being organised with your whiting. We've got plenty of bait here, we're working fast, and the results are happening. Big ocean whiting, yellow spots. If there was ever a reason to keep moving when you're whiting fishing, because you're catching small ones, that there is it. A pair of really, really good King George whiting. So the major factor that's now changed, the tide's backed off, the whiting have disappeared, the yakkers and the salmon have started to move in. So that's pretty well the end of our session. But hopefully you've learned something about catching whiting out in the ocean, so you can get out here and do it yourself.